Okay, hello. My name is Kobe Seegers. I'm a broadcast journalism major here at Arkansas State University with a minor in criminology. And the topic that I chose for this paper is the decriminalization of marijuana and how it will affect both citizens and the government. The reason I chose this topic because I feel like it hit pretty home. Like I have some people in my family and just people that I know that have been put into prisons for drug charges such as marijuana and will not be probably getting out. And the first step I did for my research is a literature review. The purpose for that is to gather sources that are relevant to my research. The sources were found off Google Scholar, which allowed for my research to hold credibility and reliability versus like unreliable sources off of Google and just regular internet sources like Wikipedia, etc. I had 10 total articles, but I'm only going to talk to you about the top 3 important articles. The first one was the Controlled Substance Act, the U.S. Department of Drug Enforcement. This classifies marijuana as a scheduled drug, Schedule 1. Schedule 1 drugs have no medical accepted uses and high potential for abuse, which is wrong. Because medical marijuana does have uses for medical uses such as cancer and other things that people have, like glaucoma too as well. The second one was the General Theory of Preemption by Brill-Mayer. The Supreme Court has not made a legit law about the use of marijuana for the entire country. So each state has to be a state-by-state law for that to be able to make it a legit law. Each state has their own regulations. So as I said before, this causes problems because people cross the borders and have to reevaluate the laws. So if I was to go to California and use recreational marijuana there, it's perfectly fine and you're allowed to fly back with so many on you. But pretty much what they're saying is that they're not liable for what happens to you once you get back to a state like Arkansas where recreational use is not permitted. The Supreme Court has failed to provide a clear answer on how much federal law preempts state decriminalization. If the federal law approved marijuana use, decriminalization could begin. So nothing can happen until the federal law makes it so. The last one is High in America by P. Anderson. This stresses how cannabis has slowly but surely gained the attention of government officials. It said that the use of cannabis has been medically proven to help individuals. So how can the cannabis hold records or justification for time wasted in prisons? Which controversies this also, that since it was medically proven, it makes it a controversy for being a Schedule 1 drug. So specifically to go back over, for a Schedule 1 drug, it has to have no medical use, and marijuana is neither, and it has to be addictive, and it's not that too. The next step in our research was the research questions and the survey development. The purpose of developing a research question is to tell the audience what you plan to find and answer to through your research. My research question: how will decriminalizing marijuana affect the government and the citizens of the United States? I had 5 survey questions, and I had then tested my survey on a student at the Arkansas State University, a 22-year-old male. And this was just off general findings and opinions. My first question: do you believe that crimes that involve marijuana are worth prison time? And most people said, he said, crimes should not be punishable by prison time. That's like a generally opinionated thing for some people. And he said, and then my second question was, how will decriminalization of marijuana crimes affect the prison populations? And then he had said, the decriminalization will help limit prison overcrowding, which is also a problem here in America with such things as like things that are going on right now, like a world pandemic. And then prisons are hit the worst with the things such as the coronavirus. Would all states need to have legislation of marijuana for decriminalization to occur? Most people wouldn't know that, so they'd either have a yes or no question, but that is a yes, they would have to. And then, how does the law enforcement differ in publishing crimes for legal recreation use states to legal recreational use states? And most people would say that cops are gonna just do what cops do, no matter if it's recreational, or they're gonna still check you and just make sure that you're above age. You get to be above 21 or older to use it recreational in other recreational states. When decriminalizing marijuana, does it need to be done on the federal or state level? Question 5, they said legislation has to be done on the federal level. Hold on, I gotta let my dog out. Sorry about that. And the next step was the methodological approaches. This is the step-by-step to gather info. My main methods were surveys, so I sent the surveys to people who want to participate. This included my family and friends to target all ages. My goal was to get 30 people total, but 25 people responded. It was a qualitative experiment, finding the opinions of people that I am observing versus statistical data, which is quantitative experiment, because you can't find statistical data on this because there is no statistics, because nothing has been done. So in my experiments, I asked each person the same questions from the survey above. And my expectations, my family will give me better and longer surveys because they have more experience in this world, which was true. And my friends will base their opinions off their personal experiences, which is also true because some of them have had to go through some of these things too as well. They needed phones, a pen, a piece of paper, and I took notes on the surveys. Then was my method of analysis, the content analysis, which was summarizing the content from the surveys. And then I had the narrative analysis. I narrate the surveys and I keep track of the important data. The quantitative research is not necessary for this study because the data has not been collected yet due to it being a new issue. So that's a new crime / it cannot be measured the effects. The statistical data will come from a couple of previous sources found. The next step was the results of the surveys. The friends that I did my surveys on were roughly 21 to 25 years old, both African American and white. My family was the second group I did my surveys on. Their ages ranged from 29 to 50 and they were all African American. I had 25 people that did the surveys on. Finding for each question. My first question, do you believe the crimes that involve marijuana are crimes worth prison time? The difference between age, younger people within my friends disagree with the marijuana crimes needing prison time. They agreed that probation would be a take to control marijuana crimes, but marijuana is not enough to lock someone up. Some of the older group agreed that marijuana crimes are worth prison time because one crime always leads to another. And then there was the difference by race. African Americans were more likely to argue that marijuana is not something to put someone in jail for. White Americans argued that crime is a crime. But I find it interesting statistic about this, that blacks are 264% more likely to be arrested for a marijuana possession than a white person. So that kind of leads to why they feel that way, because we feel that if we were to get pulled over, we're automatically going to get the longest sentence rather than somebody else because we feel like the judicial system is kind of skewered. How will the decriminalization of marijuana crimes affect prison populations? So the difference by age, there was no difference by age on this question. Most people believe that prison populations would be decreased, allowing more space for more serious crimes. Younger people did not seem as concerned about prison overcrowding issue that the country is currently suffering from. People felt that way because they really don't know how much overcrowding is in each prison, and that how many inmates are really in each prison in the United States. The difference by race. Only one group of people argued this question. This was white males. White males seemed to believe that prison overcrowding was not an issue and decriminalization of marijuana would just put criminals back on the streets. I found this interesting because in the, in the prisons, 75% are minorities more than they are white men or white males in the prisons. So they feel that there's not a lot of it because majority of their race is not in it. And then my third question, will all states need to have legislation of marijuana for decriminalization to occur? This question was only the question where everyone agreed. The people that I interviewed either noted that the current issues of states not being on the same page, or they noted how legislation needs to be on countrywide legalization. It was interesting to see everyone agree on a question. So everybody pretty much agreed that later on that legalization needs to be recreational or medicinal in every state for it to begin decriminalization to occur. And my fourth question was, how does law enforcement differ in punishing crimes from legal recreation use states to illegal recreational states? This was the difference by age. Younger people stated that cops are going to cops to to be cops. If they feel that you are going to do something wrong, they are going to pull you over and evaluate the situation. Older participants were more likely to state that cops have to do their job. If they believe that something is going wrong, it is their job to fix it or evaluate it. The major difference when asking this question was difference in tone. Younger people were more aggressive when responding to this question. I feel like just being in the younger generation, we feel that this way because we are more likely to get pulled over for cops because they feel like that we are young and more childish and we're prone to do more dumber things, which is true in some cases. But in some cases, you could be doing nothing completely wrong, and the cop could literally just see your age and see the group of people you are with and want to ask you questions and pull you over for no reason and try to find something. I've had this happen to me plenty of times in my life, and it happened more when I was in the 16 or 17-year-old, when I was in high school. People wanted to pull me over for more little things, such as tail lights or something like that, and your tail light wouldn't even be out. The difference by race, there was not an evident difference of opinion according to race. African Americans stated more on the side of police are going to do their job, while white Americans felt as though cops are going not to go anything twice before evaluating, seeing what is going on. I found this interesting because growing up as a black person in America, your parents teach you like what you're supposed to do. If cops were to come pull you over, you're supposed to keep your hands on 10 and 2, answer all their questions with a yes sir and a no sir, and there's like a specific reason you do each one of those things to keep yourself out of harm's way. And then lastly, when decriminalizing marijuana, does it need to be on the federal or state level? Everyone agreed federal. This question was also similar to question 3, which is good that we all agree that the federal government is in control of all this and that they have the control and power to decriminalize it if they want to. It's just I feel like it's more of a money reason. And this was the end of my topic of the decriminalization of marijuana and how it will affect both citizens and the government. I feel like that it'll affect the government more than it will the citizens. I feel like if it'll bring more a surplus of money to citizens and like people that are trying to open up businesses like marijuana businesses because they bring in a lot of money for people, and it's also a new career and offers more jobs. So I feel like it benefits the citizens more than it does the government. Thank you for this is the end of my presentation.